Before I start the video, I would like to give a massive shout out to my Patreons who have been supporting my channel. If you would like to check out my Patreon and receive early access to some very exciting videos coming soon, then please click the link in the description below.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of a brand new season of Just a Nerd, a podcast where I talk to Doctor Who creators, cast members, anyone that has a creative headspace in the world of Doctor Who. And today I am joined by two very special guests. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Sure thing. Hello, my name is Mark Bray. I am somewhat well known, I guess, in the Doctor Who fan film side of the community. I've been making content on YouTube since about 2014, actually, so about 10 years. But I have vivid memories of making stuff as a kid when I was a lot younger and running around my parents' gardens, pretending to be the Doctor or fighting invisible Cybermen or whatnot. But yeah, I've collaborated with a lot of people, Tom Ford being one of them. And he's been a part of the channel since, I think probably 2015. So you're coming up to about 10 years yourself, Tom.
And hi, I'm Tom Ford. Like Mark just said, I joined 2015. Just wanted to get involved in filmmaking. Quite a bit of an avid Doctor Who fan myself. So I thought, let's see if he needs help. Let's get involved and apologies, you can't see my face, but I don't know. Maybe that's a blessing.
So I've got to ask you both, because obviously we're here on a Doctor Who podcast, so I'm always curious to know with whoever I speak to, how were you introduced to that certain sci-fi show that we love called Doctor Who?
I'll let you go, Tom, first.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, back in the day, probably when it re-kicked back into 2005, and we started off with Christopher Eccleston, and I think I vaguely remember my dad just being like, "Oh, they're bringing back this show called Doctor Who that I used to watch as a kid," and I was like, "Oh, what's that about?" On the way, and then I think I vaguely remember like seeing the TARDIS fall through the vortex for the very first time ever, and be like, "Oh, what's this going on?" And then I think the first episode was actually the second one of series one, where the world ends and all that.
Oh yes.
I think it stuck up for me, and then I stuck with it all the way through till modern day, more or less. We kind of like fell off around Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi era, but by that point I was already involved with Mark and making fan films. So,
yeah, I'd say I have somewhat of a similar background. I was quite fortunate. Well, I guess you can say fortunate. It really depends on your perspective. But I grew up with a grandfather that had all the old VHSs. So the very well-known sort of funky 80s covers and 90s covers that they brought out. So I remember just as a child watching them. I've got vivid memories of Paradise Towers or Day of the Daleks, or just sprinkles throughout all. I think I watched pretty much at least one of each Doctor before Eccleston came back. So when Doctor Who came back, I already knew what the show was. I knew the premise. I remember being really scared the first episode with Rose and everything. And again, I loved the first series all the way through. I remember when David Tennant was introduced, actually not liking him. I remember my whole family being like, "Who's this guy? Oh no, we want the old guy back." But then I remember the exact episode. It was Family of Blood, where we all realized, wow, we really love this Doctor. Such a powerful performance. And then it happens with every Doctor. Matt Smith came along, we want David Tennant back. Peter Capaldi comes along, we want Matt Smith back. And it always happens. You're always missing the Doctor that just went. My whole life I've known Doctor Who, which is either a blessing or a curse. It's really how you look at it.
Yeah.
I try to look at the positives, but yes, I don't remember a point without it.
Okay, so again, to follow up, because it's been lovely to hear about how Doctor Who's had an impact on you all, like growing up essentially. But I'm curious to know, because obviously we've recently had the start of a new era. We've had 3 60th anniversary specials: the Star Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and the Giggle, and a Christmas special, the Church on Ruby Road. Have you both watched these episodes, and what are your thoughts on if you've watched them?
I've seen all of them. I think, like I said, with always missing a Doctor, I am in that situation at the moment with Tutti where I'm going, I miss David Tennant or I miss Jodie and stuff, which is always a given. I think there were some very strong stories. I think Wild Blue Yonder was probably my favourite.
Yeah.
problem is, as a filmmaker and and I'm so critical of Doctor Who. I think it's because I love it so much, but there are things I watched and went, I would have done this differently, or that, or I feel like I don't know what it is. I don't want to sound like I'm getting old, but like watching Doctor Who at the moment, everything feels like it's a little bit on double speed. I feel like I'm watching it and a lot's happening where in previous episodes they could have 1 or 2 locations and they'd sell a story fine. But you know, obviously the budget's gone up. They've got Disney, they've got Bad Wolf, they've got all these people coming back, all these people being involved. I'm so excited and so happy to see where it's going to go. I thoroughly enjoyed the Christmas special. Really excited to see where they go with the next series. And I hope that Doctor Who can get bigger and bolder and, you know, pave the way for this new generation of people that are coming along and finding it for the first time. And Ncuti will be their first Doctor, just like how we said with Eccleston. So I think the future is bright for Doctor Who. I know that it's always had its spells, and in the 80s it had its spells and the wildest years and all that. But I think right now, where it's at, I think it's in safe hands.
Oh, that's really cool to hear that you're still enjoying the show, Mark. I'm glad to hear that. And Tom, what's your opinions on the show if you've been watching it recently?
I think obviously, I mean, really intrigued with where it's going. I think I would say I'm not as massively into Doctor Who as I used to be. I think just kind of I've just grew into other stuff. There's never necessarily massive role with it. Although I think I guess they kind of intended this with stuff like David Tennant coming back, but they were trying to draw a fan base back, and of course I couldn't resist. No, loved a lot of it. I think in particular for me it was very bizarre in the first episode because literally David Tennant came in and he was just straight back into the Doctor. It seemed seamless. I was suddenly just felt like I was sat down like age 10, 12 just watching David Tennant again. Second episode, I think I enjoyed because whilst the first and third specials, obviously there was a lot of setting up of like, oh look, David Tennant's back, here's the world again. And then the third one, you've got introducing the new Doctor, which was there was lots of ifs and outs, and weirdly, in a way, maybe the second episode felt out of place because it didn't really have all of that, but it was literally just Doctor and Donna out on a Doctor Who adventure again. Here's a mystery spaceship, empty. What's going on? Oh, there's a lone robot. But I think that more than anything, I enjoyed. You know, there were times I felt scared and all that, so that was crazy. The Christmas special, I think so much I loved. I think it was great just seeing the companion and the Doctor kind of like doing Doctor and companion things. I think I just hadn't seen that for a while. I think the companion got the vibe really well. What's quite funny as well is I'm from kind of the Cardiff scene, and I've heard so much and from people that have been involved in the new Doctor Who, and it's been quite exciting, kind of like drawing the links and be like, oh yes, this is what they were talking about the other day. Trying to hide my jealousy that I'm not on it myself. That's we'll get there someday.
I found out actually just the other day from a friend that the house exterior of where Ruby lives is just down the road from where a friend lives. So just in Bristol actually. So they I remember they were filming back probably about a year ago or so when they were doing that. So that was always a lot of excitement.
Small world, I guess. Small world.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
So before we move on to talk about your channel, I just wanted to ask you both, because obviously it seems like you've enjoyed the beginnings of this new era. I want to know, where would you like to see this new era go? Because we do know that we're getting a new series in May. It's going to be called Season 1, not Series 14, not Season 30 something.
So
we're getting another soft reboot. So I'm curious to know, Mark and Tom, where would you like to see this new era of the show go within the next year or so?
I'll let you start, Tom. Why not?
Me, I'm not sure. I don't have any like huge expectations or like a bucket list of like they've got to do this. I think part of me would like to say like they don't stray too far from what we've had already, in the sense that I feel like a lot of what Doctor Who's doing now, not that there's anything wrong with this, but a lot of what Doctor Who's doing nowadays is they're trying to explore a lot of new stuff, trying to branch out, go a bit, experiment with this and that. In terms of just stories, elements, like for example, one thing that did kind of really throw me from the Christmas one was we suddenly seemed to find ourselves in a musical, which I found very bizarre for Doctor Who. I don't know why they did it. I'm not crazy about it. It was just a bit like, what what we're watching. So I don't know, I guess, you know, by all means, go new and experiment. But at the same time, again, going back to what I enjoyed about the second episode and seeing the new Doctor and the new Companion do Doctor and Companion stuff, you know, I just hope they kind of like, you know, stay close to, you know, what happens in Doctor Who originally, you know, explore a mystery, scenario, this, villain, that, motives, that.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, I hope they just kind of like stay true to that. And, you know, the fact that we've got Russell T Davies back on board is great for that, I think. Because I think, again, going back to the second episode, I think that demonstrates clearly, you know, you still got those works going on. I love that Murray Gold's back in. Murray Gold is back involved again. I think that's something that's not a lot of people I hear talking about. Is I think it's great that we've got his genius musical hands back involved. Yeah, other than that, I'm not really sure. Again, sorry, like I say, I haven't got huge expectations. You know, I hope like fresh villain ideas obviously are there and something you haven't heard before.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully not leaning too much on stuff like Weeping Angels and Daleks again. But
cliches and stuff. Yeah,
I get it. You know, we're demanding a lot from them. It's hard to like kind of top, you know, such excellent stories from the past. But
definitely, I'd probably say I second that with what Tom said.
Yeah.
It reminds me. I saw a post on Instagram the other day that said something about the Millie actress who plays Ruby. Said that the new series will have lots of controversial episodes, and I didn't even say anything, but all the comments were like, "Why?" It's like, do we need it? Do we need the controversy? I don't know who gets a lot of joy out of controversy, but I feel like, you know, I would rather the first series. You're a brand new fan. You've never watched Doctor Who before. Let's sort of do what they did with Wild Blue Yonder. Let's sort of have these adventures, you know, meet the Beatles, you know, go here, do that, and then tackle some real issues, important issues that need talking about, definitely. But in a way that's maybe more in the second series or maybe in the finale of the first season, just sort of keep your audience there. And from what I've heard from viewing numbers and figures, the audience is on board. It's skyrocketing. I heard something about like 7 million people. It was the second most viewed episode on Christmas Day. You know, this is fantastic stuff. Let's keep that momentum going and hopefully kind of go to the past. Meet like I said with the Beatles. Let's meet some historical people. Let's learn some history. Like the show is founded on history. You know, the second episode being about cave people and stuff like that, and going on to meet Marco Polo and all this and that. Like, it's really good to learn about historical characters we've never met before, you know.
Yeah.
That's my feelings.
Yeah, certainly. Because at the core, Doctor Who was originally like an educational program. That's how it was conceived. And obviously, you know, it developed into a bit more like a, you know, sci-fi genre, but its core, Doctor Who has always been relatable to one degree or another. And you know, especially as you said, for the first season, it's very important that, you know, we don't go, say, I don't know, too lore heavy or do something like, I don't know, bring back Omega and we'll win the first season or something.
Anything groundbreaking. Leave the groundbreaking for a season or two.
Yeah, certainly. But to move on to talk more about yourselves, because obviously, you know, you've been doing a Doctor Who fan series for a while now, and I'd like to break down the origins of this series. So, what influenced you to start making a fan series about Doctor Who?
Yeah, of course. So I can kind of start and then lead into Tom, because as I said, he joined a little bit later on. But the year is 2006. It's the summer, I think around August, and my father, for the first time, was showing me videos that he had made when he was a kid. Yeah. You know, just random stories that they'd make up on the fly, and they'd film it on his old camera. I can't remember what camera it was, maybe an 8mm or 33mm or something like that, as if I know cameras. And I remember thinking, being 8 at the time, I was like, Dad, I want to use your camera and I want to make things. And he was like, well, you know, this is like 20 years ago. That camera is long gone. You know, it doesn't work anymore. You know, there's digital cameras. You can do all this stuff. You know, maybe we'll get you a digital camera for your birthday or something. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I found out my next door neighbor, funnily enough, called Tom. There's 2 Toms in the NBN Homeland universe. So there's Tom Skinner and then there's Tom Ford. But Tom Skinner, my lifelong next door neighbor and one of my closest friends, had just bought a digital camera for, it must have been like his 12th or 13th birthday. And I remember just saying to him, like, wouldn't it be cool if we just made like our own Doctor Who adventures?
Yeah.
You know, there was no fan film. I didn't even know what that word was. It might have not been invented. I don't know. But and since that day, in that summer of 2006, we've just every year made something. Not necessarily always Doctor Who. Sometimes we dabbled in Star Wars, as I'm sure Tom Ford remembers very well. And we did our own spin-off stuff and our own short films. And I don't think there's been a year we've not made something. So it's 2024 now. 2006 was 18 years. Oh my God. 18 years of just it's old enough to drink now. He's 18 years old, you know. But it's mad. Like, it's been more of my life than it hasn't been, which is why for about a year or two we did decide to stop. We made a series 6. We sort of released it, and then we said goodbye. We're not going to make fan films again. There was something missing. There's something that's a core part of me. I hope it doesn't mean I'll make fan films my whole life, because that does sound a bit depressing in the nicest way. I'd rather work on the actual show or on actual television or working on actual films. But as long as I'm making something for the rest of my life, I think I'll be happy. But I think it's made me a bit of a workaholic. Always doing something, always making something, always 110%. And then, as I said, around about 2015, Tom joined, and he played a massive impact, being primarily a camera operator.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Tom, what was it like joining the fan series for the first time as a camera operator? Did you enjoy it from the get-go, or was it hard to get into? Or
I think
we argue a lot.
I think to be fair, obviously, any individuals trying to like put a fan film together, if you're not arguing, then you're doing something wrong.
You're passionate.
Yeah, exactly. But but at the same time, we had a lot of happy moments as well, Mark. Let's not forget that.
Yes. But I don't know what you're insinuating.
No, for me joining, I think literally I was just like, oh, he's got a YouTube channel and he makes fan films. I really want to get into like making films or just playing around with the camera at some point. Ask if he ever needs help, and I'm glad he had me on board. And back in that day, it was literally just stuff like filmed in our backyard or just any locations we could find. Mark's dad or uncle driving us around, just finding spots. I think I played a lot of characters as well. We've had a whole mix of people come in and out the whole time. But I think
87 people have been a part in some way. Not at once. The most at once was 47. That was our last series, which we can get onto. But over the time, people coming and going. 87 people. Yeah.
Let's call them all back for a party or something.
We should, to be fair. That's a big group of people. Yeah.
Same. Just Storm Comic Con. But what was I say? But yeah, I think it was just a chance for someone like who's, I think, basically done nothing for filmmaking before. It was just a chance to like just play around, experiment, try and replicate stuff I saw on TV, mess around, write some stuff. I think I did a bit of writing back in the day as well. We got out for those episodes. It's kind of like where I just like kind of learned filmmaking practically, I guess. Before
I didn't realise that, Tom. I didn't realise this was like the first time you filmed.
I was trying to think of like what I've done before. The only thing I could think of was just doing like Lego minifigure stop motions, and that was about it, really.
Fair enough. Because Tom's gone on to, not to put him on the spot, but he's gone on to win awards for short films and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
really?
I went to study film in Cardiff in uni in about 2019, and a grad film I did gone to a few festivals and done some stuff.
I feel like a proud mum right now, to be honest.
Well, there you go, Mark. I owe a lot of it to you, so thank you.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, no, joy never been home. I mean, there was at the start. I think there was a lot of like just we didn't have like a huge amount production wise. I think which was challenging to film with. Obviously, we wanted to like try and make it as best as possible. At some times, our resources were just limited. But, like gradually, bits and pieces just came together. And we started to get like better and better linked. Eventually, we had a whole TARDIS interior, which was huge, and much later on, we got stuff like Daleks involved, and I even went to the lengths to like make a whole Cyberman costume, which was actually great.
Yes, that was fun.
A particular day early on though that I remember that was fantastic was I didn't do so much filming here, but we had someone involved that was involved in medieval reenactments, and we did like we got dressed up in proper chainmail and shields and all the knights and helmets, but like proper stuff that you could probably like hit each other with, and
Yeah, it's heavy, wasn't it? Yeah,
I know, but it was I remember it being such a huge buzz, just being like properly dressed, because we went to a proper castle and started doing stuff in it and all that, which was great. I think at one point I told someone to actually hit me over the head with a sword because I was wearing a helmet on. And I thought, hey, this will look good on camera. Look, just whack it. Apparently, this stuff can take us. Just whack
and
it.
he's never been the same again.
Yeah. As the Tom Ford lost that day.
Yeah. Oh, bless you, Tom. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah. Because I won't lie, I'm quite critical of my own work, just as I am of Doctor Who from time to time. And I don't really look back as those parts as good memories. Like, oh, those bits are cheesy, or those bits, we had the chainmail, but the camera maybe wasn't the best quality, or it was rushed, or it was this and that. But yeah, it's basically, you can look at the channel from beginning to end and just sort of see our progression bit by bit of how we've evolved, how we've got better. And then leading into our most recent project, A Blip in Time. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's something I did notice as well from when you got in contact, and I did check out your channel, and I could see, obviously, yeah, there was a lot of Doctor Who stuff on there as well, but as you mentioned earlier, you dabbled on to Star Wars stuff, you've done some short films as well, which are fantastic, by the way. And I wanted to know as well, as a creator, and obviously, you're not going to be having like Disney levels of budget or anything, too crazy. But you pulled it together and made it work. So I would like to know from the both of you, because you've obviously worked on episodes to get them from script to screen. On average, how long does it take to get one episode from a script, get it filmed, and get it fully edited? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, sure. So with A Blip in Time, so using the example of our most recent project, it was roughly around about this month last year. We started, we did all the pre-production, so that's getting the actors, putting a casting call out, getting locations, refining the script, booking days off work, and then having to move them when days didn't fit and didn't align, and just making sure that we narrowed down this day in the summer, we're filming this day in the summer, we're filming that. So it's the first week of September. Over the course of 3 weeks in September, we filmed 4 times, and that was it. And then it was over to editing. Probably spent about a month editing, and then I handed it to Tom Ford to color grade, and he, I think, spent about another month to do it. So again, A Blip in Time is quite a short example because it's only about a 12 to 15 minute long video. But so that's roughly about 10 to 11 months working on it. We've done other series which take far longer, and our skills and knowledge was spread too thin that maybe we should have done something smaller. But that took about 2 years, series 6, maybe 3 if I remember. I can't actually remember. No, maybe 2. I think it was 2. But so if that answers the question.
It certainly does. And as you said, obviously, the duration of the project obviously has an impact on how long it takes to get it out and stuff. But obviously, regardless of how long you're spending on it, obviously you are spending actual time on, filming and stuff like that. And do you have any fond memories? And this is for both of you. Do either of you have any fond memories of working on the fan series? Like, I don't know, were there any hilarious bloopers, or I don't know, and anything just that stands out as a positive memory from working together?
My favorite outtake is from an episode where Tom Ford plays a monk character. This is back in
oh no, this can't be good.
2018, and there was this clock in the background of the scene, but it was like a digital one that my father had made, and it worked each decimal point. So there was a row at the bottom of each second, millisecond, and so on and so on. And you were trying to learn your lines, and you're going over and you're trying to memorize whatever the line is. And I kept messing around and turning it on and being like, the bomb will go off in because it looked like a bomb, basically. It was the bomb will go off in 2 minutes. And it was very funny. And I did it in a very high-pitched Welsh accent. I don't know why. That I do go back to that outtake from time to time. But in terms of fond memories, we got mentioned in our local newspaper, which was such a proud achievement. We got mentioned on BBC Radio Bristol, which was something we were very proud of.
Oh, wow.
So just small little achievements like that. I think when it comes to locations and actors, I get quite excited when we sort of tick a milestone. So working with a Churchill lookalike, is a milestone in my eyes. It's like, wow, I've never done that before. You know, a couple of the locations, like there's this beautiful banqueting room we booked out, and I was able to negotiate it for a good price. You know, that is an achievement. I've ticked that off. So that's kind of how I look at fond memories. So like first time filming in a quarry, first time filming in the castle, as Tom mentioned, little achievements building up to kind of where we're at now. So yeah, what about yourself, Tom? I'm curious, what's one of your favorite outtakes?
My favorite outtakes wise, I think there's some. Oh, there's the whole Star Wars outtake video. It's like half an hour long. There's plenty. There's plenty of those.
Plenty of that one. Yeah.
That's only a fraction of them as well. I can't think of outtakes. Oh, maybe tell you what. Going back to the story I had about the helmet, I think we did 2 attempts of where I actually get Aaron, who plays the master, to hit me over the head with a helmet, and the second attempt is excellent, but the first one's so rubbish. I kind of just scuttle up to him and just with my sword down, just let him hit me on the head and fall over.
Yeah.
So that's the other. The fond memories though, I think the castle is already mentioned, but I think also actually filming quarries probably sounds odd, but I think when we needed like something grand and epic, we always chose abandoned quarries. I think there was one very exciting morning. I think in winter, we went to one quarry to film an epic lightsaber duel for one of the Star Wars fan films, and when we got there, the fog was still just there in the mist with the sun shining through it, and we just got this great shot of the Imperial villain and 2 of his Imperial soldiers walking out of the fog, which looked quite epic. And then the whole lightsaber fight after that was quite fun to film.
That is actually, I agree, that's something I'm really fond of. Yeah.
The Star Wars one, obviously we've come a long way since then, but that was quite an epic undertaking.
I watched it last year and it holds up. The third one we're referring to, there's 3 we did. The first 2 I'm like 14 years old and then when they're cheesy, but the last one, the third one, it holds up. Like if you can get past some of the cheesy CGI, it's actually quite a powerful story. I was really shocked by it, and I've always nudged Tom and said, "Go on, let's do another Star Wars. Go on, do it." And he's like, "No, never again. No,
never again."
Well, never say never. There could always be another installment.
Watch out, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Well, with all this conversation about working on fan productions and stuff, and obviously you've gone to pursue other projects as well. I'd like to know from both of you, what have you learned from working on fan projects? Because obviously a lot of the time you put in more money into it than you're getting anything out of it.
Definitely.
In that sense, but obviously you are, I'm guessing, learning a lot of skills, not just about working in the film and television industry, but you're also learning a lot about yourself. So I've got to ask you, Mark and Tom, what have you learned from working on fan productions like Doctor Who and Star Wars?
I'd say a lot of people skills. I've been on, sadly, because me and Tom both went to separate unis, both studied film, and I've been on sets since then. And there was one just a couple of months ago, and when the director doesn't say anything to the cast, it really slows everything down. And bless him, he was clearly very new, and I won't name names, but yes. So just being able to lift the mood, lift the spirits. Someone said to me the other day, someone was pleading with me to help them with their short film, and they were just saying, like, when they're in video calls with their team, there's just not that momentum, there's not that spirit, and he doesn't know how to achieve it. And when I'm there, I just bring that. I bring that kind of enthusiasm and that inspiration to be like, okay, let's do this. Really passionate. I've got this idea. Let's do this. And just being able to sort of make everyone in the call feel welcome. It's not something I could teach because I don't know how I do it. But probably just making stuff enough times over and over and over again, you're going to gain those skills of, talking to large crowds, talking to an audience, having a call full of 20 people. And it's like, everyone needs to know they need to be at this place at this time, to wear this, to know these lines, to be out by this time, or we'll get kicked out, stuff like that. What about yourself, Tom?
I mean, me, ultimately, just how to make a film, really. And, that might sound pretty obvious, but I think there's so much, I think, just people don't usually take into consideration about like what comes of like making a film. Like there's all the, I think I never really gave editing any thought afterwards, but it's like editing a film is like writing a song. Really, there's all the beats, there's the rhythm, there's the pacing, there's the structure, there's the crucial elements, there's not so crucial elements. I think again, like Mark, a lot of I think just people skills and just cooperation and just getting along, but also just kind of like just trusting people as well. Like I think if I have to be honest about myself, and something I still struggle with nowadays is trusting other people. Like when you have when you're passionate about filmmaking, you have an idea in your head,
vision. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you're very precious about it, and you kind of you can just automatically become very stubborn about other people's ideas, or just and I think it's there's massive practice in just trusting other people and giving a bit of leeway and just letting others feed in, but also just kind of like accepting that you might not have the right idea in that moment, and then looking back at like examples like that, I kind of like realized like look, you need to be more flexible. You need to trust other people, then they can trust you, and it becomes more of a team effort. Teamwork, there you go, that's something else I learned. Two things: filmmaking, teamwork.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they do go hand in hand as well, and that's something as well, because I also study film and television at uni as well, and I've learned as well. I went into it not really having the best like team working skills and stuff, but obviously when you're thrown into scenarios where you've got to basically put your heads together, and you're gonna come across like problems and stuff like that, but over time you face similar problems, but then you're just like, no, hang on a minute, because I did this last time. Bada bing, bada boom, sorted. And it's very important. It's very important.
Yeah, and it is a lot about problem solving, and you're only going to know how to solve those problems when they come up.
Yeah.
So if you do something enough times, you'll eventually become a master in it. So just keep doing stuff over and over again, and yeah,
certainly. And just to throw this to you both as well, because obviously you both seem like you've had plenty of experience with filmmaking as well. And I would like to throw this question to you about giving advice to anyone that aspires to make films, anyone who's going to be starting university in September. Do you both have any advice you'd like to give in regards to aspiring filmmakers?
Ooh.
I feel like try everything. One thing I envy not being at uni now, and I'm sure Tom Ford agrees, is we had a thing called the asset store where you could basically just rent out any equipment you want at any time, as long as someone hadn't booked it out. And most summers I didn't, and I wish I had, and I envy that. In your first year, if you are confident you want to be everyone wants to be a director when they go to uni. Everyone wants to be a director. If you're confident you want to do that in uni, try another thing first in your first year. You've got so many modules to try, so many things, and I guess that's why they have so many to begin with. Try stuff, and you might find you actually like something more. I didn't know I liked producing until I realized probably about halfway through second year, there's a lot of satisfaction with getting these actors, getting this location, all these people come together in this place. It might not even be your story, and you might not even film it. But you're just proud that this has all come together, and that everyone's well looked after, and everyone's having a good time, and that you make something that you're really proud of, and you meet new people, you network. What about yourself, Tom Ford?
Great. I mean, obviously, second Marks. I mean, yes, if you do go to uni, you get access to kit. Don't waste it. I mean, but obviously don't be too hard on yourself if you come to uni, you really rest yourself. Like, because I have the exact same feeling, Mark, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, come on, give yourself a break. You did.
Well, I'm not interested in anything technical in the sense that I'm not a cameraman. I know nothing about it. I suck at it. But I'm like, God, I wish I had done that. I wish I'd rented that sound out, or just tested lights, just playing around with lights, Tom.
Yeah. Well, I think to raise, counterpoint, because I'd already thought of this. Not counterpoint exactly, but you'll see what I mean. But I think to to new filmmaking, because don't let oh, but I haven't got the such and such Mark II of the new camera that does this and makes everything look cinematic. I think don't let that put you off, like not having the greatest tech or anything, because but more that speaking from like someone who's like tried to go after cinematography and tried to practice cinematography a lot, something I've come to realize is 90% of making a pretty image is what's in front of the camera, not what's in it or the camera itself. Like a lot of it is just the ideas of compositions of just how, but much more so what people tend to miss is how you light something and lighting techniques. Like you can do a lot more to an image with lighting than with a fancier lens or a much more shallow depth of field, or just what the camera's doing. You can make a great tracking shot just by getting on a bike and following someone else on the bike whilst you're holding the camera. Short films I used to muck around with back in the day, but just just don't let not having the best tech in the world put you off or anything like that. So just especially with lights, any lights, get your desk lamp and a bulb from your dad's office or something, and just play around. Just I mean, look it up. There is so much online that there is so much online that you can find nowadays about learning filmmaking. So just go exploring. There's loads of YouTube channels out there that love to show off what you can do with like lighting and all that. So just do that.
I again, like I said, I'm not a camera person in any way, but if I'm scrolling online and I'm on shorts on YouTube or on Instagram, if something cinematic comes up, I save it to my cinematography tab so I can go back and look at that. And I often do send it to Tom Ford, and he often goes, But adding to what you said there, Tom, it's quite trendy now. Again, on social media, you'll see people taking photos on really old cameras, on digital cameras. It's kind of becoming a bit more of a trend. So there's this influx of obviously getting the new Arri Alexa or getting the new Blackmagic, but there's also this other trend of look at this 70s camera and how beautiful these shots look, and look at these, even there are filters you can get on Instagram and Snapchat that will make it look like it's I do sound like a boomer. Make it look like it's from the 90s or the 2000s. So just if you have, most people can make films on their phone now. Which I don't know if I'm in favor of or not, but if you have a phone and that's how you start off, be my guest. And
to be honest, that's something as well that's interesting, because I did see there was, I forgot which film festival this was at now. I think it was a couple of years ago. There was one film that was submitted that was shot entirely on iPhone, which was incredible. I was completely blown away by that. But then again, technology is evolving, so
and sometimes though you hear it like, oh, it's filmed on an iPhone. It's like, how? But then when you look at it, the iPhone has all these attachments plugged in, and this is all plugged in, and it's like, is it really filmed on an iPhone? Kind of, but no, I agree.
It's like a little hybrid. But just before I wrap things up, though, because it has been incredible hearing about the production of your fan series, the origins of your YouTube channel, and how Tom joined, and how you both kind of learned from working on fan projects together. I want to know, because I did really enjoy A Blip in Time. Is there anything else in the pipeline for Doctor Who related content in the future?
I'll let you go first, Tom.
Are you serious? Okay.
I can if you want.
Go on.
I can't say too much. A Blip in Time, you can either look at it as, there's two different ways. So I think the word is epilogue, where we did series 6 and we felt like there were some things that needed tying up and some endings that maybe hadn't been answered. So A Blip in Time kind of says goodbye to one of their companions, Dylan. A lot of the episode revolves around his phone or his glasses appear in the background. And the last shot of the actual episode is a nice shot of the companions and the Doctor. So it's very much a nice closing book. But obviously there are questions asked in the episode. So you can either look at it as an epilogue or a prologue to something else.
Okay.
All I can say at the moment is give it a few months and watch the space. But we're having very early chats about stuff.
Okay, very interesting. And
do you have anything to add, Tom?
It's to add. I mean, I think I think it's going to be, you know, regardless of any meetings we've been having, regardless of any of that, I think it's inevitable we're going to be making something in the future. I think.
Oh yes.
Yeah, like we, you know, if not Doctor Who short films, I think, you know, we've still got the whole TARDIS set and the Daleks sitting around. So
yeah, collecting dust.
Yeah, got to justify the fortune Mark spent on it.
But yeah, I'm very excited for people to see you as the master.
Hey, what?
I'm kidding.
Master, that'll be a bit of a reveal there.
Tom
About
Ford.
time.
Can you imagine you as the master? I should have said
What?
something silly like Ramada or Omega or something.
What? No. Have mercy, please. No more casting.
Just make you play every role.
I wouldn't mind, actually. No. But yeah, no. Watch this space. That's
Okay.
Amen.
Okay. Well, thank you both for coming on today. It has been incredible talking to you both about this fan series that you've been making. And obviously, you know, the advice that you've given, because there are a lot of people out there that might be struggling with trying to get into filmmaking, whether it be directing, producing, camera work, cinematography, or sound, lighting. And you know, like even the smallest bits of advice, that little nudge can, you know, point them in the right direction. So thank you so much to you both for doing that.
That's all right.
Oh, thank you for having us on.
Pleasure. Yeah, cheers, Jack. Yeah.
No problem. And for those that are watching, whether that be on YouTube, Spotify, or however you consume your podcasts, be sure to check out MB and Homeland, because they've got some incredible content on their channel.
Right.
So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Take
Thank you,
care.
Jack.
Love you all. Peace.